Well, hello. Welcome to UnCut Juels. I'm Kristin Juel, founder of UnCut. We're very excited. We've got Sparkles here. I don't know if you can see, but Sparkles is in the backdrop. He's waiting. He's excited. I've decided that Sparkles is identifying as a he, and I think that's okay. So we're just going to let it be. Oh, hi, everybody's here. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday night. It's the last one in October. I cannot believe it. I don't know what happened to this year. I mean, nobody does really, but yeah, it's crazy. It's almost November. Speaking of November, we're going to have another UnCut next week, and we're going to have a DC representation in honor of the election night. So we're going to have Elijah Balbad, who's a jazz musician in DC, come on and talk to us a little bit about how things are going there. And he's had some pretty interesting experiences recently, so we'll be able to shine light on some of that. And, you know, maybe we'll get to hear directly how things are feeling in that area next week. So if you haven't already, please make sure to vote. I have my sticker here because I've got my ballot here ready to go. I just have to walk up to the Hollywood Bowl and drop it off. I'm very excited to do that. So hopefully this is the last time I can invite you to vote, because by next week, I think it might be too late for most of you. So vote. Also, just as a reminder, Jessica and Ruby have recently put out some singles and an EP, which we're going to talk about tonight with Jessica. So if you haven't listened to it, please go add it to any playlists you have, or share it, or save it, or like it, or do anything. We'd really appreciate it. And I know she's not going to really lay that on when we're in this talk today, but I am. So, so please listen to their tunes and let us know what you think. Anyway, and now to be able to get more in depth behind what happened in the making of I'm Learning with Jessica Childress and Rune Westberg, let me introduce and welcome Jessica Childress and Rune Westberg.
Hey!
Hey, welcome.
Hello.
welcome. Jessica's here.
Thank you.
So welcome back to both of you. I know, Rune, you did this with us a couple weeks ago before you went home with Ruby, and now we're back. And Jessica, you were on with everyone before with Ruby talking about mental health back in May, I think.
May, yeah, long time.
Crazy. It's been a minute. Yeah. So thanks for coming, both of you. So obviously we've got a lot to cover tonight, and I'm really excited. But I wanted to stop and ask, how are you both doing, and where are you guys?
Rune, go.
I'm back home. I just came home from 2 weeks in Europe visiting family, and so I have family. I'm originally from Denmark, but I also have family living in the south of France. And because of the travel situations right now, and because I'm living with a U.S. A person who only has a U.S. passport, we had to travel by car all the way through Europe, and it was really a fantastic trip. So we drove from Copenhagen. We flew to Copenhagen, and then we drove all the way through Germany into France, visited with a friend of mine in Paris for a couple of days. We drove down to the south coast and stayed in Cannes for a week, and then drove back home through the wine regions in France, through Rhone and Alsace, and up through Germany back to Copenhagen.
Yeah, we
and then
should not have asked you this question.
It was a really fantastic trip. But, Corona is everywhere, guys, in the sense that, we were the only tourists on the continent. That was just the fact. Europe was empty. Wow. There was nobody there other than the people in the actual countries. Like, it's us driving through Europe on the foreign license plates from Denmark was like, there's nobody else. Like, we're the only ones. But,
wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. That is pretty intense. Well, I'm glad you're back safe and sound. We love Europe. And it's funny to think I did that exact drive last year when we were on tour with Hamish, where we took the boat, that big ferry, huge ferry boat. That was crazy.
From Denmark down to Germany?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you put the car on it? Yeah. It was
exactly.
Super cool. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. All right, Jessica, this is going to be a hard one to follow.
So I learned how to pilot a plane, and I flew myself to No,
That's amazing.
I've just been here in LA. I've been good. It's been a really crazy time to be in this country. There's a lot of really intense energy, but for me personally, I have to say it's been such a wonderful season of life. A lot of work, surprisingly, a lot of personal growth. I'm enjoying just being a little bit more laid back these days.
Good. Great. That's great. Well, and obviously we're going to get to our work together really soon, but I wanted to also ask, I know, Rune, we sort of touched on this a little bit when you were on the last time, but can you maybe quickly just remind us about your music journeys in case somebody's just coming in and doesn't know who you are, and like, when did you start your music career, and maybe like touch on what was your first memory with music?
I started out as a young kid and played in bands from when I got my first guitar, I was really not interested in taking lessons or anything. So I pretty much formed a band within the first year of me having my first guitar. And then from there on, it was just playing in bands. It was the only thing I was interested in. So through high school, I was playing in bands. And then I actually got signed with a band straight out of high school. And then we started making records and touring, and then the band broke up, and then another band came along, and then I started, getting into recording, and I built a studio, started producing for other people, writing for other people, and then, I've just done pretty much everything. I also, for a moment, I was training as a, engineer, tape-op engineer. I wanted to learn how to record music, so I was an engineer trainee for a year or two in a studio in Copenhagen. And so I've done, anything from touring with other people to being in a band to being a solo artist. I also, I did a solo album once too. And then I've been mixing and producing and writing and I'm jack of all trades when it comes to music. And what I enjoy the most is just being part of it. That's all that matters to me. Gotcha. I just want to be part of it, you know?
Gotcha. Do you remember your first music memory?
Actually, I know there's one thing that was really strong for me. As I might have been probably, I want to say about 10 years old, and I was at a party with my parents where one of my dad's college, my parents were pretty young when they had me, and they were in college. So I was probably like, I want to say 9-10 years old, and we were at this party where one of my dad's friends were playing. He had a band, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Nobody else at the party liked fucking band. I was sitting on a chair in the middle of the room listening to the band while all the adults were in the bar, and it was just me right there, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. This band was so cool. And the band must have hated me, because can you imagine playing to just one kid sitting on a chair and all the adults?
That's pretty gnarly.
Better than zero.
That must have sucked.
Yeah, that's true.
I played to zero many times.
It happens. Oh, that's a good one. So 9.
Yeah,
all right. So formative
sucks.
years included it. That makes sense. 9. All right, Jessica, you're up. So I want to talk about, where you were born, where you were raised, and your musical inclinations, and at some point touch on your first memory.
It's all kind of like included. So I grew up just outside of LA, like maybe like LA proper, maybe 90 minutes outside of LA, in, a pretty unusual environment. I grew up in a very, very religious environment, where I was at church literally every day. I went to the church school that was like on the campus. So there's like this 40 acres of land, and I spent 98% of my time on this campus. And so obviously my first memories of music are so wrapped up in that. My first memories of music are, being really teeny tiny. My dad used to sing in the church choir. My mom used to sing in the church choir. So I guess, being in church and hearing, I mean, because the music is such a big part of the service. So listening to that music was definitely my first memory. And it's so funny because like Lancaster is so close to LA, but it might as well be West Texas. No offense, people that live there, but
Yeah, it's far.
y'all know it's a different world. It's 90 minutes and a different world.
Yeah. So basically your first memory was
church
music.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
And that was all
well,
I knew for 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time.
It's a long.
I mean, I know we're gonna touch on how that impacted the work that you've released in a second. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like just to take that, like set the 17-year-old Jessica, you know, did she listen to like popular music too? Did she know what rock and roll was? Like,
I mean, I was in the world, so we went to the grocery store and shopping mall. So that was really my only actual exposure to secular culture writ large. So when I turned 17 and I went to college, because I left that place that I had been since I was 2, and then went to college, and I was like, I'm allowed to wear pants. I went to CD. I went to the movies for the first time. I was like, a whole new world. Yeah, it was wild.
That's pretty crazy. Wow. All right. So basically you're like, you walk into the world and you're just like, this is all new to me, basically at college.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Cigarette.
At what point did you actually know you were going to have a musical career?
Last week? Are you kidding? What? And that's
okay.
So funny. Like, I don't know that I really acknowledge that I have a career in music. Honestly, a career in music until, maybe 2018. When I realized I pay each and every one of my bills making music.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
yeah.
So 2 years ago, I realized that I wanted a career and have a career.
All right. Okay. Kind of coincides with meeting Rune too, I think.
It was about the same time.
Actually, yeah.
Very interesting. So, okay, that dovetails nicely. I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you guys tell the story about how you guys met.
With Desi, right?
No. Okay. So then I will tell the story. So you got a phone call. We got a phone call to work with Rune, and we set you up for a co-write. You got sick, or your mom, you couldn't come. And then there was all these other things that happened. We had Hamish in there and everything. And then you guys actually, I think it might be the Desi thing, could be the first time you did that.
Yeah, we did a co-write with Desi Valentine, which was so much fun. I mean, at that point, I hadn't really done any or many co-writes at all. So I was very nervous. I have this thing where I'm nervous, where I'm like, if I just like twisted my ankle and like, that's like a reasonable excuse not to show, because I get so paranoid. And I got in there, and the studio was like in this magical backyard, and there were like birds chirping and like a hammock, and I was like, okay, all right, we're gonna be fine. And
don't worry.
Yeah, and the three of us wrote like a really beautiful song that ended up, I think, on one of Desi's records, or maybe not. Maybe people haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
I can tell you, people have not heard that song yet, and they need to hear it very soon.
I agree.
Yeah, we can talk about
love song.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys did it
before.
before.
I think So correct me if I'm wrong. I actually think the first song we wrote was Fair Fight. Remember that song?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Which is a really, really wonderful song, but it just has the trademark of you know, people searching for whatever they're wanting to do. And then we wrote the Desi song after that, as far as I remember. And then once we had the session where we wrote Walk With Me, that's when everything changed. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, so that was a great point, because I remember, like, okay, so I think when we finally came to you and we're like, oh, we have something that's like the Walk With Me and beyond.
Yeah.
And you guys were like really like vibing super well. I think there was like a point where Jessica and I were like, where do we take this? Like, how do we make this?
Once you Walk With Me, I remember, Rune, when I just had done the last, and we were finished, we were like,
what just happened?
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
We made absolute magic. And far and beyond any other song I've ever written, that is the best song I've ever written in my life.
It's for me too. It's one of the best songs I've ever been part of. I mean, I have to be totally honest. It's like, yeah, that song is fucking epic. And
it's magic. So once we wrote that song, for me, when I had like some songs that were like very not even realized at all, some songs that I kind of had an idea, I knew that I needed a collaborator. And not, there's so many producers and writers, especially that are as accomplished as you, Rune, that you bring something to them and they're like, this is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to be. And I knew that there was so much vulnerability around these songs that I needed to go to somebody who, A, I could be vulnerable with, B, is going to like have the sauce, C, that I could really like, we could really meet somewhere beautiful. And it was, Kristin was like, what are you thinking? I'm like, let's go to Rune. Let's see if he's free.
I remember exactly where I was when that happened. I'll never forget it. And I remember thinking, we're going to need to explain this to Rune. Because that was the point where you had done some things in your own. I mean, what was the song? Little Town has existed for and everybody loves that song. But it had never been recorded. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't have that time that, it's like, we had to like have that conversation. Like, how comfortable are you taking work that has partially existed for a long period of time and helping it to sonically match, frankly, with Walk With Me? I mean, Walk With Me was just this sound piece, like we knew that was like special.
I also think we especially with, Little Town was also a song that you had written from a different place than you actually wanted it to be. Yeah. That's what I sensed. I sensed that you had not experienced the balls to actually, the courage to actually, I don't think you'd even acknowledged at the time that it was about your childhood, in the sense that you were scared to dig into it. Because I remember that session. It was a really intense session. We were very emotional, both of us, when we were talking about what this song was about, and when we worked through the lyrics to get it to say what was really what we were trying to say, right? Because there were lines in the original version that were
throwaway.
Yeah, and also
no,
on the verge of it.
Trying to use it after we were trying to, you know what I mean? It was like really a weird.
No, we don't.
Sort of,
we couldn't hear you.
Cut out.
You cut out.
No, it was like you were. It was like you were saying something in one line, and then you were almost making an excuse for it in the next line. That's what I was sensing when I was reading the first lyrics. You were, and. Oh, we're getting some interference here. Oh,
No, actually, we're just playing this song lightly so people can get a sense of like the sort of heaviness and the sound of it all, you know, because this really is different for Jessica. And like everything about this is just, I don't know, it's a touch.
It's
It's a
authentic.
touch.
I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
Rune, I needed you to call bullshit on some of this. I think I needed you to call bullshit and say, hey, here's the thing, like some of these lines are not even saying anything at all. What does this
yeah.
actually mean? Let's actually talk about the real shit. And I hadn't had the courage to do it. And we did. Oh, and there was a lot of tears.
A lot of tears,
Yeah.
but a lot of real shit. Just get like that's what it's all about. I mean, those are the songs that matter, and those are the things that musically are going to move people. It's when shit matters. I mean, if you got to put yourself on the line out there. I mean, again, I'm a songwriter and a producer, but I'm more than that. I'm a person who's trying to help be the catalyst of the artist I'm sitting in front of. Like, it's my job when you come to me and you play something to me and you tell me something, I have to understand what you are talking about. And then I have to be brutally honest and tell you what I think you're talking about.
You're a singular collaborator. Singular.
But
go ahead.
That's because it takes 1,000 times more courage for you to put out these songs than it does for me, because these are not songs about me. I've been a part of facilitating them, and I've been a part of, you know, helping you express what it is you need to express. But these are your story. These songs are your story, not mine, right? So you're
yes and no. I mean, I agree with you. This is my story for sure. But I think you're way more than a facilitator, because, you know, in terms of like just the pure songwriting of it, there was so much that I hadn't been able to put language around.
Yeah.
And you like took some of like the crazy, like my crazy way of expressing how I'm feeling, which is kind of weird, to be honest. And you put language around this world and helped create this world where my stories could live. So it wasn't just you like facilitating, it was really you creating the world where all of this could live. And I don't think
that's a beautiful way to put it. I mean, I think you're saying the same thing, and I think I dream about being the person that can be a part of, can help an artist create a universe where they can express themselves. And I think, because that can be really, really hard to define yourself. It can be really hard to create, because how are you going to find the words and the universe and the imagery and the things where your person belongs in?
Yeah.
Because we have to understand that songwriting is a fiction at the end of the day, right? It is a fiction that you create for other people, because they're never going to know your exact, they're never going to know exactly what you're talking about, right?
Right.
So, and you can't, if you just say things completely bluntly and completely without filter, it's not going to connect. It never does, right? It never does. So that's where, that's where my tools come in handy.
Yeah.
In terms of saying, what if I see this, for me, I see you existing in this place where, where these images work, and where we can tell this story in this kind of way. And yeah, I'm very happy you put it that way. That really makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
You're a creator of worlds, my dear friend. And like safest, and it's like the other thing is you create the safest space to just be, when Walk With Me came out a few weeks ago and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to, what I wanted to say, how I wanted to write about it, I kind of got into how I was in such a dark place and I didn't want to go into the studio. I didn't feel like I had anything really to give. And we just sat and talked for a little while. And you played those chords on the piano, that piano right there. And we both just like were so free. Yeah. And that was new for me. That was like a very new experience to be open and vulnerable like that with someone else. And I now realize like that's where the magic is. Like that is where the magic is. And then we just continued that through the whole process.
So okay, go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah, because I wanted to break that down. So go ahead, please.
There's one line in you remember that we were talking about, the Walk With Me was this, we were talking about a song about feeling, what can you say, about feeling safe in the world. And we were talking about an experience you had walking home one night with, homeless people in the streets with their, fires in the oil tins and whatnot. And I was like, why don't we just put that line in the song, right? When the world is, when the streets are full of monsters lighting fires in the dumpsters. And we're like, because it's a weird line.
It's so weird, and I love it.
It's so weird, but it makes so much sense, both as an image and as a actual, because that was an actual experience for you that we just put right in the song. It's like, okay, right there.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, Kristin, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I just was trying to think of, so like, obviously, like clearly there's a lot of magic and connection between the two of you. And I think like hypercritical to have a successful partnership in production with an artist is be able to, I always say like what we try to do is create a sacred space for the artistic and the creative process too, because if you're not trying to do that for someone, then you're just talking at them, right? So you want them to feel really good. But I was kind of trying to figure out like the idea of production between the two of you, like what started first? I mean, I know like Walk With Me and Little Town were really different in the sense that Little Town formed to a certain extent, but then like I'm Learning also like, can you talk a little bit about where did you guys meet to commence some of these stronger song designs? And was it like production musically first, or was it the lyrics that drove it? Like how much of that was, the start?
That was 100% Rune. So because I always want to like dress everything up to be like Christine and like have this veneer over it because I felt like maybe some of this was too personal. And I remember so many times like, can we add, but what do you think about? And he's like, nah, see, no. And Rune really led the charge of like, let's keep this honest. Let's keep this real. We don't need to dress it up. Like it's perfect as is. I mean, I think I only like really appreciate that now. Cause for a while I was like, there should be more stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Restraint. Yeah.
Again, having worked for many, many years with artists, it seems that the more personal things are, the more scared people are of letting their voices being heard too clearly, right? So that's always like a giveaway for me. It's like, if So there's something that's always very, very clear as a producer is when I don't understand what the artist is singing, it's because the lyric is shit. It means that they're not. No, there's nothing wrong with the artist. It just means we wrote the wrong lyric because if they're not singing it in a way that I can understand it, it means they have no interest in communicating, right? So
that's a good point.
When I understand every fucking word and I understand everything that's going on, it means there's something going on here. And then the artist usually comes to me and says, we need to add a lot more shit to this to bury me in it. So that means there's really something going on, right? So that makes me want to go, no, we're going to strip this down to just one instrument and a vocal because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you are telling a story, and the more powerfully you're telling, especially with an instrument like yours, which is like one of the most beautiful voices I've ever worked with in my whole entire life. And like that voice is like, I don't want to put anything around it. I just want to leave it alone. So I'll go along with putting a little bit on there, but I really, really don't want to go overboard. Like, let's just keep it like really.
Do you remember when we cut I'm Learning and I was like, let's add like some bongos and can we add like, I remember talking to you, you were like, you were so sweet, but you're just like, no. No. Let me just send it to you like how I think. And then I heard and I realized immediately that putting bongos, Jess.
But you know what? I actually went to a whole production of that song, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work, and I will never play it to you because then you're going to be like,
yeah. So. It's so perfect as is. It's so perfect as is.
No, it's
I
like
love that.
It's I did a full production with drums and bass and horns and everything, and because it's got a tempo but
yeah, it does. Oh,
we got lost in there a little bit. I mean,
everything could get lost in that song, and that lyric. That I'm so proud of those lyrics. We really went there, and I think I mean, I hate to toot our horn, but we nailed it.
Well, that's why you're here. I would say you nailed it. I mean, like you said, it's been like one of the most, powerful things you've released since we've been working together since 2016. So I think it's a big conversation. I will never forget Rune texting and saying how brave you were after the sessions. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, I mean, we work with lots of producers. It's not like people are coming to me being like, she's so like, they're like, she's amazing. But that word was the first time it was like really vulnerable, really open. You were trying new things, new sounds. I think just even the stripped back part alone, but yeah, it kind of carried through the whole journey that you guys had.
That was a first for me. That was 100% a first. And it's, where the level, to be totally honest, like the level of depression that I was in when we wrote these songs was not insignificant.
No, I recognize that, and I know that.
Yeah,
but there's also great gifts to be had from really bad misery, in the sense that it opens your fucking channels, right? It's like and if you dare go there, you can get and as we did, we got some really good stuff.
And not just the music, honestly, Rune. Like, yes, we created, I would say, the body of work that I'm the most deeply proud of. Yeah. But also, that time in the studio with you was so deeply healing. And I think
for me too.
Yeah, it was so special. And I think that writing these songs, having all those deep conversations, those hours that we spent where I would just sit on your couch and cry and smoke cigarettes, and then we would write songs.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge, huge piece in me being where I'm at today. Huge. I love you to pieces.
You do. Yeah. It's sometimes songwriting can be a lot more than you think.
Oh yeah.
A lot more.
Shelley calls it song sex. It can be very intimate.
It is. It's very intimate. It's not just you're sharing. I mean, I would say sometimes it feels a lot more intimate than sex in the sense that you're going to a place where it's like like just do what you have to do or just fucking leave.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just, okay, I'm here. Okay, fuck it. I'm just going to go there. Right. And if you have the balls to do it, it can be fantastic and heartbreaking and awful and like really uncomfortable, but it's possible if
ultimately healing.
Yeah, if you accept the situation you've been put in, which is now you have a day with another person where that is completely open to whatever.
Yeah.
And then you just dig in, right? And that's a gift. And then.
So when do you guys know it's done? When do you know the song is done? When did you know that you've served the song and it's just ready to go?
I don't. Rune does. I'm not the one that says it's done. I will work on a song forever and ever. That's why I'm so grateful for you, Rune, that you were like, no.
That's one of my, but I say that's one of the things I do best as a producer and a songwriter is I'm really good at saying stop, like saying, okay, this is it.
Okay.
I mean, you very quickly get to a point in both in writing and in production where things don't get better; they just get different.
Right.
That's a great way to say that.
So, yeah, like little changes. They're like, yeah. So the word is now blue instead of red, or the word is now this and that, and there's now a snare drum and a tambourine instead of it. And you're like, yeah, that works totally fine.
Great.
But it's not getting better. It's just getting a little bit different.
I changed some things at the last minute. I changed one thing at the last minute. In Walk With Me, there was originally an intro. I wanted to change so many things. The emails back and forth are like, what if we change this sound? What if we do that? What if we add this? What if we add that? And then I got a lot of like, no, it's kind of perfect as is. And then I had one change. I was like, let's just come in with the vocal and Walk With Me. And it was one of those things where it wouldn't get better or worse. It would just be like slightly different. And I think it works. And that's my only positive thing.
The intro was huge because that was a waste of time. And it's also like, it was a little confusing because there was no tempo. So it makes a lot more sense to just go straight on the vocal. Like, why not? Yeah. That's what you want to do. Yeah.
Well done. Excellent. Well, good. All right. So now that you guys have had this journey together, looking back on it, what would you say is like the key ingredient to your success?
Honesty, and openness. Just don't be scared of it. Like, don't be scared to just. If you want to write real music, you got to be a real person, and you got to just fucking do it. Like, there's no hiding, and there's no pretending, and there's no recipe. Like, the only thing we can do is try to be the most authentic versions of ourselves in the situation where we're writing music with other people, and then we're going to get the most authentic and real results. And I think our relationship is a very real example of that.
100%.
The moment we decided, both of us, to be like, we're just going to dig in. We are just going to dig into this relationship and try to really go there. The song, I mean, there's a huge difference from Fair Fight to Walk With Me. Like, that's like,
Oh yeah.
right, two worlds
Where
apart.
is in between.
Yeah. And that's the difference between going in, opening up, being honest, being brave enough to just be like, okay, let's go there. Let's do what we need to do, and let's not bullshit, right? We're not, trying to do anything.
You know what's funny to me is that you're such a straight shooter. And if you were to ask me, not knowing you, like, is being a straight shooter something that would make you feel super safe and like to be able to open up and go as deep as was necessary? I would have been like, no way. But I've learned through this whole process that your authenticity and your willingness to be so present and so honest with me was like the safest, most nourishing environment for me to because I'm not, you listen to my previous record and there's some, but it's really cute. It's like me trying to be cute, and that's super evident. And this, I just felt like, let's just do it. I felt ready. I felt safe. I felt like you're bringing it so hard. You're bringing it so beautifully. Okay, let me rise to this occasion. And I think you set up a really beautiful high ass bar for me to rise to. And Rune, this is an unprecedented thing for me. Like, because of you, I'm here and I can't go back. Like, that's amazing. What a gift you've given me.
You did this yourself. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree.
But I have to, I think I was very, very, very aware that something very special was going on with you both personally and musically in these sessions. And that's something you sense as a music, as a partner. You sense that we gotta, this is the moment we gotta take what we have to write this story right now because she's ready for it, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Totally. Oh.
I love that. That's great. Okay. So Jessica, what do you think was, the sort of like key ingredient that you feel now in your relationship with Rune is like the standout descriptor?
For me, like I said, like in actual real time, blossomed during this period of life. Like I was going through it and having the space to just, it's not, listen, I'm not the girl that like goes into the studio and cries. So
no,
up until this project, like, and you even said, Rune, like, I've never seen this side of you, this vulnerable side, and it's awesome. And thank you for bringing that in here. So I think for me, the pivotal thing was permission to really bring my most authentic self, the super safe and like supportive space of being able to really dig in, and then the curiosity. Like I think Rune brings a ton of curiosity to each session where he doesn't just want to like, okay, let's listen to this song. Okay, this is what I think could be cool. It's cerebral, but it's also from a deep place of curiosity and pulling stuff out. And there's also that like little magic. Like we just have a vibe, honestly.
That's good. That's great.
Definitely. Yeah.
So basically, he's a magic. That's the net. The ingredient is magic.
Actual and factual.
Was it obvious?
Magic doesn't happen. It's if I could write music like this every day on my own, I would fucking do it. Like, it's like, that's not the point is magic happens when things collide,
Yeah.
right? Like that's where it happens. It doesn't just come out like, yeah, that's the thing. It just, no.
I get it. I love it. Bearing witness. It's true. There's truth in there. That's great. Well, it makes me happy. It always is just so nice to hear like, oh my God, look what we did. And it's like, wow, this is
That's
amazing.
how I feel right now when I listen to these songs. And
yeah.
I feel immensely proud and like really like we did some real shit here. Some really real shit.
And then we have a testament to it too now, because you can see, you know, people have responded to it, not just, you know, fans of Jessica's, but also the industry. You know, we've definitely had more support for this than we have in ever.
Like literally everything I've done in the past, with one exception, because I played a festival and people put it on and it's like playing in Walgreens and stuff. With the exception of the song that plays in Victoria's Secret and Walgreens,
right.
Walk With Me has more streams in like 14 days than all of my other songs combined.
Right. Yeah. So we found a niche for you.
And turns out the niche is just like being honest.
Be real.
It's just like being Jessica. How about that?
Oh, it's me.
But that's the thing, though. There's like,
when are we going to start writing again? I'm like, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Well, that takes up to the next thing. What's next for everybody?
What about more songs?
More songs.
Yeah. Okay, more songs. All right. That's easy. So we've got the EP's out. We've had some great support. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Pandora. Thanks to Apple Music. Thanks to Shazam. Thanks to ASCAP. Thanks to everybody who's been like on my hit list and just really responded. Yay. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for everybody. And I don't know who's watching because I don't have the thingy up, but to all the people that have like messaged me and DM'd me and told me their stories, I just want to say, like, I read everything. Some of the things I haven't responded to just because I really want to be thoughtful and present in my response. And I am a whirling dervish at the moment. But I see you and I'm grateful. And if past is prologue, if you're in it, just keep going, because it's not forever. Look at me.
Yeah, you always get that chance. And Rune. Okay, so now obviously I know Chris, you're going to have a Christmas song out though too, so we do have that coming in December, and this song is also going to be in a movie called Princess of the Row, which is releasing Thanksgiving Day weekend. Plug, if you have a moment, please go and pre-order Princess of the Row, because that will mean a lot to them. And you'll get to hear on her trailer another song she did too. So Jessica basically helped to shape some of the sounds in that, the songs in that movie. So that'll be a beautiful thing to come out Thanksgiving weekend, and you'll get to hear Walk With Me in that, which I'm psyched about. And then right after that, the Christmas.
And the credits. It's a beautiful movie. It's a beautiful film. It's about a homeless veteran who ends up homeless, and how it really highlights so much of the homeless problem in Los Angeles and nationwide, really, and highlights like it's not just the people that you see on Skid Row or that you see outside of the 7-Eleven. These people are fathers and mothers and daughters and sons and have families. And I think it does a beautiful job of humanizing something that sadly we've just grown so accustomed to seeing.
Yeah.
So super recommend.
It's a beautiful, heartfelt story too. There'll be lots to hug your families, COVID style, through the holidays.
Like a Zoom hug.
A Zoom hug. I love you. Okay, so sometimes we get a chance to talk to, up and coming artists. So there might be some people listening now that are like, wow, I wish I had that, experience, what kind of advice would you give, some young musicians that are coming up, both from like finding a producer, finding a co-writer? Like, is this something they should do on their own? Should they just, anything that you have any advice for young kids?
Just be authentic. Like, just no bullshit. Like, forget about the bullshit. Like,
yeah. I'd also add,
have the balls to tell a story.
Oh no.
Always.
Have the balls to say what? You cut out at the end.
Yeah.
Ooh, have the balls to say what?
You cut out.
Oh, have the balls to tell your own story, like your story.
Yeah.
Like, don't try. I mean, if your story is important. It doesn't. Every story is important, and that's the most important story you have to. You have no. I mean, the story you have. It's your story. You have no other story. You can. I mean, obviously, yes, you can tell a million different stories, but I bet you the one that's going to resonate more with people is your own.
His road, yeah, really.
Yeah. I would add to that, like, that would be my advice too. And just by way of anecdote, I've spent so many years trying to figure out what the industry wants from me, looking at other R&B artists, trying to be Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, trying to be SZA, trying to do all these things, and nothing worked until, I wrote the songs that mattered, that were real, that were honest. And I think finding collaborators that you trust, that you like, that you would just have a beer with and like invite to your home for dinner, I think that makes such a huge difference. And don't be afraid to write bad songs.
Right.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. Usually bad songs are just lack of courage. That's usually what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Bad songs are usually people trying to sound like something or be like
They're
something.
in their head.
Yeah.
Like all those. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my last question for you guys, and thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully people appreciate it. This will live on as a little timestamp of your amazing relationship and collaboration. But we'd love to ask both of you, what is one song you wish you had written or produced? Produced for you, if you want to answer it that way. Or you could say written, whatever you decide.
Okay, so I decided to take this question to a place of like, what song could I have written that would just buy me a house? Like, I'm just going to keep it real. Because sometimes you got to just make a syncable song so that you have money for your passion. And that is what is the song that I came up with?
Living
La Loca. Upside, inside, up. Living
Okay, we can't afford it.
Right, exactly. We can't afford it.
Yeah, now you got to clear that shit.
Yeah. Damn.
Good luck with
Blanket
that.
license.
Could've been anything.
MLC day today too.
Could have been anything.
Just kidding. We just said the lyrics. That's a good choice, though. And as your manager, I agree with you. That's a great choice.
Let's make money.
Money. Oh God! All right, Rune, you're up.
I mean, last time I remember I said Thunder Road with Bruce Springsteen,
Yes.
which I think is
Bruce Springsteen. That's right.
Still
the same.
This time I'm going to go with. So it's a very heady song. It's a song that's beautifully crafted and lyrically perfect, and everything's just fucking amazing. So I'm actually going to go with "Lean on Me" this time, which is that song is just musically, it's so perfect. Like
it's insane. It's insane.
It's built on. It's so simple, and it's just one Boom, 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 boom. No, it's just like, yeah, no, it's called Lean On, right? Somebody to lean on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, there's lyrically, there's so little in that song, but everything's just so melodically perfectly put together that you just like, you're sold from the very first note of the song. And that song is perfect. Just fucking perfect.
Agreed.
Yeah, totally.
Can I amend?
Yeah. No, it is called Lean On Me, right?
It's Lean On.
Lean On. Yeah.
Lean On is the other one, the dance one. I amend.
Yeah.
So the song I wish to like be rich is "Livin' La Vida Loca" because I'm not an idiot. But the song I wish I like had the brain to write is "A Case of You" by Joni Mitchell.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Joni Mitchell.
Those lyrics, like what?
Yeah.
I could drink a case of you and still be on my feet.
So good. She's legend. I know. I love her, Joni. What was that instrument that she used?
That's a very heady song too. A very heady song.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Craftsmanship, like really incredible craftsmanship.
Yeah, stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Kind of almost the it's almost the opposite of a song like Lean On Me, because Lean On Me is just it's pure emotion. That's all it is, right? Like right there, boom. But Joni Mitchell, she's pretty heady, like, everything's complicated, like nothing's easy, right? It's like, it's complicated.
Nothing's easy. But I think in that particular song, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. It is like her relationship is so complicated. And she's taught, and it really is such a story. Yeah. You know, I can see her at a bar. I can see her like doodling. I can see her just like being drunk and sad. And my neighbors are going nuts right now. Oh my God.
Oh no. I thought I heard yelling. Stay safe. But I agree with you. It's exactly, Joni is a storyteller. She used every single part of that song to tell the descriptors, like to paint the visual imagery for you of what that was to her, you know? Such a good choice.
Whew. One day.
Great choice. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, it's funny. I mean, all of this just shows you how important owning your truths are. Just literally owning your own truth, whatever it takes, just making sure. So, well, I appreciate both of you guys doing the truth serum together, taking the truth serum together. It's been a wonderful journey, and I'm so grateful to have bore witness to it, whatever the word is in the past tense, a born witness.
We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
I know.
Yeah.
There's more to come. So stay tuned. And and I'm grateful. Thanks for coming on a Tuesday night and everything. We're really psyched. All of the people who have been there, my team, thank you so much for all your support through this last few months. And God, that was crazy. Thank you. I'm sure I was pretty ugly for a second there. So thank you.
And thank you for really introducing us and making this happen, really.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. You can never know where these things go. So, but I will say that Rune has a touch, and I'm, one of these days we'll have you on, Rune, just to talk about the differences between all the artists that we work with alone that you've now written with. It's crazy. Hamish. I mean, there's just so much to you. It's beautiful. You bring out the best in people. So, if I had one,
very kind words. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great. And as a manager, you don't really have to worry, which is really nice too, because sometimes when people are in studios, you're like, oh no, how's that going? So I never had that feeling. It's just amazing. So anyway, and thank you all.
I really want people to feel
the best.
It's my job, for Christ's sake. Also, it's like, there's no chance in the world I'm going to get anybody to even remotely open up to me unless they feel safe, right?
Absolutely. No, and the environment is inviting as well. It's a gorgeous space. So check Rune out if you guys, if you have substantial work that you want to run by him. I'm sure he'll be just honest with you too. So we're not,
That's my trademark.
Yeah.
I am brutally honest.
It's not brutal.
It's
not
a Danish thing.
Well,
You got to be honest.
Delightfully honest.
If your stuff sucks, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Facts.
Trust
Okay.
me.
I would say it's unambiguous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. It's been a joy to reminisce with you. I've been nostalgic. I can't believe this was a year ago that you guys did some of this. It's amazing to think how different the world is. So, so I'm really grateful to have been your partner, and I'm so glad I got to see you guys on all of this. And hopefully, we'll get to talk more in the new year about some new things coming.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Yay. And so thanks to Jessica, thanks to Rune, and thanks to all of you for sticking around. Please don't forget to vote. You got one more week, and we'll see you next week with Elijah Balbad, who's going to be coming from DC and talking about what the chaos is going on there, and hopefully educating us a little bit on the new jazz world that he's a part of. So stay tuned. We'll see you next week. And thank you so much for joining UnCut Juels.
Bye-bye.
Bye.